I woke up seeing that post and I just shook my head. I said, here he go. 50 Cent is the super villain of the internet, dog. He really the Thanos of this rap game, I'm telling you. When that man get quiet, that's when you need to start praying.
Yo, pause. Before you scroll past this, I need you to understand what is actually happening right now in the hip-hop world, because this is not your regular celebrity beef. This is not two rappers going back and forth on Twitter throwing subliminals. This is not a diss track situation. This is something bigger, something darker, something that has the entire industry holding its breath and checking its phone every 5 minutes waiting for the next move. 50 Cent just woke up, walked to his phone, and dropped a post that sent shockwaves from Atlanta all the way to New York City. And what did that post say? He is talking about making a documentary, a full produced, cameras rolling, network distribution documentary about Ty and Tiny. And not just any documentary. We are talking surviving style. We are talking the kind of project that does not just end careers, it buries them. And now Boosie has entered the chat. Boosie Badass, one of the most unfiltered, most honest voices in this entire game, has something to say about all of this. And when Boosie talks, the streets listen. But here is what nobody is telling you yet. Behind this very public war of words, there is a private story unfolding that changes everything. Stay right here, because it is about to get very real. Let me take you back to the moment this whole thing exploded. It is a regular Tuesday morning. People are going about their lives, checking emails. Checking email, making coffee, scrolling through their feeds looking for something interesting to wake them up. And then, out of absolutely nowhere, 50 Cent drops a post that hits the internet like a grenade rolled into a quiet room. Now, if you know anything about Curtis James Jackson III, and at this point who does not, you know that this man does not post randomly. He does not wake up and just accidentally say things. Every word, every caption, every strategically placed emoji, all of it is calculated. All of it is intentional. The man spent years in the music business, built a television empire, produced some of the most watched shows on premium cable, and turned himself into one of the most powerful figures in entertainment media. He does not make mistakes online. He makes moves online. He makes moves. And this particular move, it was a nuclear level play in the post, which spread across every platform within minutes before being reportedly taken down. 50 Cent laid it out plainly. He suggested that Ty and Tiny might want to think seriously about getting themselves a crisis PR team. Not because of anything new, not because of some fresh allegation that nobody had heard before, but because, according to 50, a documentary was coming. A documentary in the spirit of the projects that had previously reshaped public perception around other major figures in the entertainment world. He said it casual. He said it smooth. The way you tell someone their house might be on fire while you are already holding the garden hose. And the internet absolutely lost its mind. Within the first hour, the comments were in the tens of thousands. By the time the post was reportedly removed, screenshots had already traveled to every corner of social media. There was no taking it back. There was no walking it away quietly. The bullet had left the gun, and it was traveling at full speed directly toward Atlanta.
That's when you need to check your windows and doors, cause he in the lab cooking up destruction. He talking about he got a surviving T.I. and Tiny doc. Man, that is diabolical. That's cold-blooded. And mentioning the Diddy situation in the same breath, he basically telling T.I., yeah, I'm the one that started the fire.
Now, here is what made this particular moment different from your standard hip-hop online beef. 50 Cent did not just throw a shot. He threw a strategy, see a diss track, even a legendary one. Lives in the music space. It gets played, gets analyzed, gets responded to, and eventually settles into the archives of hip-hop history. But a documentary lives on streaming platforms for years. It gets watched by people who were not even alive during the original conflict. And it gets recommended by algorithms at 2 a.m. to people who had no idea who was involved. Awesome. It gets written about by journalists and discussed in media classes and referenced in think pieces for a decade. A diss track is a battle, a documentary is a war, and 50 Cent just declared war. Now. While all of this is unfolding across social media, while the blogs are firing up their servers and the podcast hosts are clearing their schedules, while Ty Team is presumably in emergency meetings and Tiny's phone is blown up with messages from people she has not heard from in years, Boosie. But Dawes walks into the conversation, and when Boosie walks into a conversation, the energy shifts immediately. Because Boosie is not a commentator. He is not a blogger sitting behind a microphone analyzing things from a distance. Boosie is in the culture. Oh, he has been through things that most artists only write about. He has survived situations that would have ended most people.
Coming back with more gasoline. 50 don't play by the rules, man. Most people they beef, they go to the studio, they make a little diss track. Not 50. 50 go get a camera crew, a director, and a distribution deal with a network just to ruin your whole month. And look.
He has stood in rooms that most people will never see and said things out loud that most people would never dare think. Wasn't there? When Boosie speaks on a situation in hip-hop, it carries a completely different weight than when an industry outsider does. And what does Boosie say when he first sees 50's posts circulating online? He shakes his head, slowly. Slowly. The way you do when you see something coming from a mile away and you knew it was going to happen, but it still surprises you when it actually does. Man, Boosie says, and the way he says it communicates about 40 things simultaneously. I woke up seeing that post and I just shook my head. I said, here he go. 3 words. But those 3 words carry a full biography of understanding about exactly who 50 Cent is and exactly what he is capable of. Because Boosie has watched 50 operate in this industry for a long time. He has seen the pattern. He knows the playbook. And the playbook goes like this. First comes the quiet. The period where 50 is not posting about a particular situation, not engaging, not reacting. That quiet is not peace. That quiet is the calm before something very specific is being built in private. According to Boosie, and he said this clearly, directly, with zero ambiguity, when 50 Cent gets quiet about something, that is the moment you should be the most concerned. That is when, as Boosie put it, you need to check your windows and your doors. Because something is being constructed in that silence. He the Thanos of this rap game, Boosie says, and the comparison is not accidental. Because just like the fictional villain who collects power quietly and methodically before executing a plan that nobody saw coming in its full scope, 50 Cent assembles resources, relationships, platforms, and moments and then deploys them with precision. So, most artists, when they have a beef with another artist, they go to the studio, they record something, they drop it on a Friday. The internet reacts for a weekend and then it fades. Not 50. 50 goes and gets a camera crew, he gets a director, he gets a distribution deal with a network. He builds something that does not disappear after a news cycle. He builds something with a release date and a marketing budget and a platform with millions of subscribers already waiting for it. And that, Boosie explains with an expression that sits somewhere between admiration and genuine concern, is what makes this man different from every other figure in hip-hop who has ever engaged in a public dispute. He in the lab cooking up destruction, Boosie says. And the room gets quiet for a moment after that. Now while Boosie is out here giving the world his honest unfiltered take on 50's strategic genius, Ty is doing something very different. Ty is talking. He goes on Ebro, Laura, and Rosenberg's show, one of the most listened to platforms in hip-hop radio, and he sits down and he addresses the situation. Not defensively, not aggressively, not aggressive. Ty does this thing where he speaks in a measured, controlled, almost professorial tone that can sometimes make you forget for a moment just how serious the conversation actually is. And in that interview, Ty says several things worth paying close attention to. He talks about the reactions that came from people around him when this whole situation first gained traction publicly. He is clear that those reactions were independent. He did not direct them. He did not orchestrate them. Oh no. When things got heated, when voices around him started responding with a level of aggression that might have escalated everything, Ty says he was actually the one who pulled back, who told everyone around him to keep it measured. To not give the other side ammunition by making the conflict bigger than it needed to be. Now on the surface, that sounds like wisdom.
Door to my bedroom, as you shouldn't have to either. Open up the door to my bedroom for everybody to come in, chime in, and make their opinions about what we do and don't do, shouldn't do. But I will say this, whatever we ever have done has been done with consensual adults who into what we into and like what we like. If we want something, we know exactly where to go to get it. We ain't never forced nobody, we ain't never drugged nobody against their will, we ain't never held nobody against their will, we ain't never made nobody do anything, we ain't never trafficked anything.
That sounds like someone who has been in the industry long enough to know that silence is sometimes the most powerful response available. But here is where it gets interesting, because the internet, and particularly the corners of the internet that have been paying close attention to every development in this situation, did not hear that interview as wisdom. They heard it as something else entirely. They heard a man describing a situation from the position of someone who is managing a narrative. Someone who is very carefully controlling exactly what he acknowledges and exactly what he does not. And that distinction matters enormously. Because in the same interview, Ty also addressed the legal dimension of this story. And this part is important, critically important, because it provides context that the social media version of this story consistently leaves out. The matters that have been publicly discussed in connection to Ty and Tiny, the allegations that have circulated online and that 50 Cent appears to be referencing with his documentary Threat. Matters involve civil lawsuits, not criminal charges, civil lawsuits. And those civil lawsuits, according to public court records and Ty's own publicly stated account, were dismissed. The legal process ran its course. The cases were addressed through the proper channels, and the outcome of that process was dismissal. That is not spin. That is not PR management. That is what the court documents say. Now, does that mean the conversation is over? Does that mean the public should simply accept a legal outcome and move on without questions or discussion? In a perfect world, maybe. But this is not a perfect world. This is the internet in the era of documentary culture, where a compelling visual narrative with the right music and the right editing and the right emotional arc can reshape public opinion in ways that court documents simply cannot counter. And that is exactly what makes 50's threat so powerful, even if, and this is a big if, the documentary never actually gets made. The threat is the weapon, the speculation is the damage, and Ty and Tiny are already living inside the consequences of it, whether the cameras ever roll or not. Now here is a section of this story that is not getting nearly enough attention. Everyone is talking about Ty, everyone is talking about 50, everyone is talking about Boosie's reaction and what it says about the current state of hip-hop beef culture. But very few people are centering the conversation on the person who is arguably most directly affected by everything happening right now. Tiny. Tamika Cottle Harris, one of the founding members of Escalate, a songwriter whose credits include some of the most beloved records in 90s and 2000s R&B. A businesswoman, a mother, a woman who has spent years navigating public scrutiny of her marriage and her personal life in ways that would have broken most people several times over. And right now, Tiny is sitting inside a public firestorm that she did not start, and that she cannot simply post her way out of. Because here is what people forget when they treat this situation purely as a rap beef between 50 Cent and Ty. There is a woman at the center of this whose reputation, whose legacy, whose name is attached to these allegations. And when 50 references a documentary about Ty and Tiny, he is not just threatening Ty's image, he is taking direct aim at her as well, and her people close to the situation. And here I am speaking carefully, because what I am about to share comes from sources in the circle who have spoken on the condition of remaining anonymous, have described Tiny's private response to all of this as a combination of exhaustion and fury. She has watched this situation resurface before. She has watched people take publicly dismissed legal matters and treat them as established facts, because dismissal does not generate the same clicks and views and engagement that initial allegations do. She has, according to these sources, said privately and with significant emotion that she is tired of having to defend herself against things that the courts already addressed. Tired of watching her children grow up in a world where their mother's name is attached to a narrative that the legal system did not substantiate. And that is the human cost of what 50 Cent is doing that gets lost in all the entertainment of it. The hip-hop internet sees this as a chess match between powerful men, a game of image and strategy and cultural dominance. And on one level, that is exactly what it is. But underneath that chess match is a real family, real kids, real people who read the comments and see the headlines and carry that weight in ways the commentators dissecting everything from the outside will never fully understand. Boosie, to his credit, touched on this in his reaction. He was careful. More careful than you might expect from someone with his reputation for unfiltered honesty. He acknowledged the human dimension without getting into specifics that he did not personally have knowledge of. He said, and this is a direct reflection of what he expressed, that whatever happened in private between consenting adults in Ty and Tiny's personal life was exactly that. Private. Between consenting adults. He was not co-signing anything. He was not defending alleged behavior. He was simply drawing a line between what is a personal matter and what is a public war being waged for reasons that may have more to do with power and positioning than with genuine accountability. And that line is one that the internet, in its hunger for drama and resolution and villains and heroes, tends to erase very quickly. Here is something fascinating about how this situation is played out compared to previous high-profile disputes in hip-hop. The industry is largely quiet. Not silent in the way that suggests nobody has opinions. Anyone who has spent 5 minutes in industry circles knows that behind the scenes, this is all anyone is talking about. Group chats are active. DM are flying. Those flying. People who have known both Ty and 50 for decades are watching every development and forming very strong views about what is happening and why. But publicly, the response from major industry figures has been remarkably restrained. Nobody with real power and real relationships on both sides is stepping up to either defend Ty or publicly endorse 50's approach. And that silence, that specific, calculated, everyone is watching, but nobody wants to be seen silence, tells its own story. It tells you that the industry understands exactly what 50 Cent is capable of, because this is not the first time he has deployed a documentary as a weapon. The pattern exists. The track record is there. The track record is there. And people who have watched that pattern play out know that getting visibly involved in opposing 50's moves has historically not ended well for those who tried. It also tells you that the industry has complicated feelings about Ty's situation. Not because of the dismissed legal matters. Most industry insiders who understand how civil litigation works are perfectly aware that dismissal does not equal admission of guilt or proof of innocence in the court of public opinion. But because Ty has always been a polarizing figure internally, a man with enormous talent and genuine cultural impact who has also, throughout his career, been at the center of enough controversy to give even his supporters reason to hesitate before rushing to his defense publicly. And somewhere in the middle of all that complicated industry silence, Moneybagg Yo has been out there doing interviews. Now, Moneybagg Yo's involvement in this story is interesting because it represents the generational dimension of what is happening. He is a king of the South artist. He is part of Ty label family. His career has been shaped in part by his association with Ty brand and Ty platform. And when he sat down to talk about this situation, careful, measured, but present, it signaled something important. The younger generation of artists who built their platforms under Ty influence are watching this unfold. And they are having to make decisions quietly, internally, but consequentially about where they stand and what their public association with this situation means for their own careers and their own images in a moment where the landscape is shifting rapidly. Yeah, because 50 Cent is not just attacking Ty past. He is, intentionally or not, forcing everyone in Ty orbit to decide how close they are willing to stand when the cameras get pointed in this direction. That is the collateral impact that nobody is discussing. Let us have the real conversation now. The real conversation now. The one that cuts through the entertainment of it and gets to the actual dynamics at play. What does 50 Cent actually want from this? Because here is a man who does not need the attention. He has a television legacy that speaks for itself. He has business ventures that generate revenue completely independent of his music or his social media activity. He does not need to be in a beef with Ty to stay relevant. His relevance is structural at this point. It is built into the infrastructure of his career in ways that do not require weekly controversy to maintain. So why this? Why now? Why Ty? Why now? Why Ty? The surface answer, the one that the entertainment blogs will give you, is that this is about an ongoing personal conflict between two alpha personalities who have never fully resolved their differences and who periodically re-engage when circumstances bring them into proximity. And there is truth in that. The relationship between 50 and Ty has never been fully warm. There have been moments of mutual respect and moments of genuine tension throughout their parallel rises in the industry. But the deeper answer, the one that requires actually understanding how 50 operates as a strategic entity, is more calculated than simple personal conflict. 50 Cent has built a second act in entertainment as a producer and documentarian whose projects center on exposing the hidden lives of major cultural figures. That is a brand position. That is a business model. And that business model is most valuable when the subjects of it are genuinely significant cultural figures whose stories carry audience interest across demographic lines. Ty is exactly that kind of subject. So, not because of the allegations, which again were legally dismissed, but because Ty represents something culturally substantial. He is one of the defining artists of an entire era of Southern hip-hop. He has a mythology around him. A narrative of rise, fall, legal battles, redemption, empire building, and controversy that spans 2 decades of documented public life. A documentary about Ty is not a niche product for hip-hop heads. It is a mainstream streaming play. It is the kind of project that could land on a major platform and generate genuine cultural conversation in the same way that similar projects have done before. Which means 50 is not just threatening Ty personally. He is potentially looking at Ty as a subject worth building a project around, regardless of whether their personal beef is the motivating factor. And that is what makes this threat particularly dangerous, because it is not driven purely by emotion. It is potentially driven by business logic. And business logic does not go away when the beef cools down. Business logic persists as long as the opportunity persists. Boosie understands this. You can hear it in the way he frames 50's moves. Not as the reckless behavior of someone who is angry, but as the deliberate strategy of someone who has thought 3 moves ahead. He in the lab cooking up destruction is not a description of chaos. It is a description of craft. Purposeful, directed, professionally executed craft aimed at a specific outcome. And the outcome 50 seems to be aiming for is a position where Ty and Tiny are permanently associated in public consciousness with allegations that their legal victories have not been able to fully erase, regardless of whether the documentary ever actually gets made. Now let us talk about what is happening in the comment sections. Because in 2024 and beyond, the comment sections are not secondary to the story. They are the story. They are where public opinion forms in real time. They are where narratives get cemented or challenged. They are where the actual jury of public perception deliberates, and the jury on this situation is genuinely divided. On one side, you have the 50 Cent loyalists. And I use the word loyalist deliberately because for this particular segment of the hip-hop audience, 50's involvement in any situation is essentially a referendum on their own worldview. These are people who have watched 50 take down figures who seemed untouchable and been proven right. These are people who believe that when 50 Cent says something is happening, it is because he has information that the public does not have yet. They are not waiting for a documentary to make up their minds. They made up their minds the moment 50 posted. For them, the post itself is evidence enough. But on the other side, you have people who are doing something that the internet does not reward nearly as often as it should. They are reading the fine print. They are pointing out that civil dismissals are not the same as guilt. They are noting that the timing of 50's post, coming directly after Ty completed a successful media tour for new music, looks less like accountability and more like competitive suppression. They are asking whether using someone's darkest personal allegations as a weapon in a music industry dispute crosses a line that has nothing to do with who is more talented or more powerful. And then there is the third group, the largest group. The people who are not really on either side because they are primarily entertained by the spectacle itself, who watch Boosie react and find it hilarious and compelling and perfectly cast, who enjoy the chess match from a comfortable distance without necessarily needing a resolution. Who will watch any documentary that gets made, engage with any interview that gets posted, and share any clip that generates an emotional reaction, regardless of what team they are nominally on. This third group is the one that drives the algorithm, and 50 Cent knows it. 50 Cent knows because he has spent the last several years studying exactly how online audiences consume conflict. He knows that certainty and outrage generate shares. He knows that questions generate comments. He knows that the combination of real history and suggested revelation creates a loop that keeps people coming back for the next update. He has essentially engineered a situation where the audience is invested, regardless of outcome, and where that investment benefits his brand as the most compelling disruptive force in entertainment media. And the most incredible part of all of it, he might not even make the documentary. The threat may be the entire product, the conversation itself, this video, those blogs, those podcasts, those comment threads. That is the content. That is the engagement. That is the cultural real estate being claimed in real time, while Ty and Tiny spend their energy responding to a project that may exist only as a caption on a since deleted post. Boosie is right. This man is a supervillain. But what distinguishes this particular moment from previous chapters of 50's online career is the weight of what is being weaponized. Previous beef moments were about reputations, careers, artistic credibility. This moment touches on allegations, dismissed though they legally are, that involve deeply serious subject matter. And using deeply serious subject matter as chess pieces in an entertainment industry power struggle is something that deserves more critical examination than the internet's appetite for drama typically allows. The fans are entertained. The bloggers are busy. The algorithm is fed. The algorithms. But somewhere in Atlanta, a family is navigating the real-world consequences of a game being played at 30,000 feet. And that tension between the entertainment value of all of this and the human cost of it is what makes this the most complicated chapter of a very long story between two of the most significant figures in modern hip-hop history. All right, final section of the main story. And this is where we answer, or at least seriously grapple with, the question everybody is actually asking. 50 Cent assembles the team, secures the distribution, and produces a project that enters the cultural conversation the same way similar projects have done before. If this happens, the immediate fallout for Ty and Tiny's public image would be significant regardless of the content's accuracy or fairness, because the audience for these projects makes up its mind during the first 30 minutes and rarely revisits that judgment. Option 2. The documentary gets announced but never completed. This is actually not an uncommon outcome in the entertainment world. Projects get developed, promoted, hyped, and then quietly shelved when the business math stops working or when the principles involved find other leverage to apply. In this scenario, the threat has already done its maximum damage and the actual production becomes unnecessary. Option 3. Ty responds in a way that changes the dynamic entirely. And here's where things could get genuinely unpredictable. Because Ted's always been capable of making moves that nobody anticipated. He is a strategic thinker. He has navigated industry situations that required patience, precision, and the willingness to absorb pressure before responding in the exact right moment. Diffie decides that the best response to a documentary threat is to control his own narrative first, through his own project, his own platform, his own documented account of events. The chessboard shifts entirely. Option 4. And this is the one that nobody wants to say out loud, but that hangs over this entire situation like a weather pattern that is not broken yet, is that this gets bigger before it gets resolved. That more voices enter the conversation, that more documented moments surface. That the circle of people involved expands in ways that neither 50 nor Ty can fully control. In the social media era, these situations have a way of gathering momentum that eventually exceeds the original participants' ability to manage. Boosie, for his part, seems to believe that the only real resolution to something like this is through the music. That artists at this level should handle their disputes in the space where their power is most legitimate. On the record, in the booth, in the lyrical tradition that built hip-hop into the global cultural force it is today. But he also knows, because he has been paying attention, that 50 Cent left that tradition behind years ago, and that the man who is currently the most effective operator in hip-hop beef culture is not looking for a lyrical battle, he is looking for a legacy moment. In this entire situation, Tiny Boosie's reaction, the internet's obsession, this video, every blog post, every podcast episode, every clipped and reposted comment is the beginning of what 50 intends to be that moment. Whether the rest of the industry lets him have it. That is the question that keeps this story alive. And there it is, the full picture. Every layer, every angle, every uncomfortable question that the surface version of this story does not ask. 50 Cent woke up one morning and dropped a single post, since deleted, forever screenshotted, and set in motion a situation that has the entire hip-hop world watching, talking, and waiting. Boosie Badass, one of the culture's most trusted unfiltered voices, stepped into the conversation and called it exactly what it is. The work of the most calculated strategic mind in the game, a man who does not fight with words when he can fight with cameras and distribution deals. Ty sat in a radio studio and gave measured, controlled answers that revealed as much in what they did not say as in what they did. Tiny navigates the fallout of a war she did not start. Moneybagg Yo and the next generation of King of the South artists quietly calculate where they stand. And the industry watches in careful silence. Civil lawsuits were dismissed. That is the legal record. But the court of public opinion does not follow court procedure. And in the age of streaming documentaries and viral commentary, dismissed legal matters can be resurrected with a camera, a soundtrack, and a distribution deal on a platform with 100 million subscribers. So here is what I need from you right now. In the comments below, tell me honestly, do you think 50 Cent actually makes this documentary? Or is the threat the entire play? Do you think Ty and Tiny have handled this situation correctly? Or should they have responded differently to stuff? And most importantly, at what point does using someone's personal allegations as ammunition in an entertainment industry beef cross a line? Where is that line for you? Because that is the conversation this situation is really demanding. Not who wins and who loses. But what the rules of engagement should be in an era where the most powerful weapon in hip-hop is not a microphone. It is a camera. Drop your thoughts below. Every comment, every perspective, every hot take, and every considered opinion. The comment section belongs to you. Use it. If this breakdown gave you the full context you are looking for, if it showed you layers of this story you had not seen before, hit that like button right now. It takes 1 second, and it genuinely helps this channel keep doing exactly this kind of deep, detailed work every single week. Subscribe if you are not already part of this community, because we do not just report the headline. We build the full picture. We ask the questions that deserve to be asked. We stay in this until the story is complete. And this story is complete. And this story, it is nowhere near complete. Share this video with someone who needs to see the full picture before they form an opinion. Because in 2024 and beyond, the most powerful thing you can do in any public conversation is actually understand what you are talking about before you take a side. Until next time, stay sharp, stay informed, and never ever let a deleted post be the last word on anything. Peace.